Hi, everybody. This is Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and these are your Sun and Rising Sign horoscopes for the month of September 2019. So this one is for Virgos. All right, so it's really your month, Virgo, because whether you're a Virgo rising or a Virgo sun, because look at the huge lineup of Virgo planets right at the beginning of the month. You see Mercury, the Sun, Mars, Venus, all lined up. New moon on August 30th in your home sign, home house. So first of all, whenever there's a lot of planets lined up in your first house, this is sometimes we call it a cardinal house or a tropical house, or you call it an angular house. The first house out of all of the houses is a house where planets are rising in the east. Something new is appearing right now. The newness that's appearing with Mars Cazimi at the very beginning of the month, the new moon in Virgo right at the end of August, really implies that it's a moment of personal empowering, of individuating, becoming more of a leader, becoming more of yourself. It's more self-focused right now, which might have to do with your health or body or diet or workout routine, or you're maybe a bit more concerned about your physical appearance. You're learning something new about yourself. It's also possible to get with, Mars Cazimi in that first house to be more critical, more edgy, more harsh, a little bit more selfish in not such a great way. So, be careful, check yourself. But otherwise, something new is coming forth right now. It's an empowered moment for your home planet. Mercury is in its own sign, in its own exaltation. And at the same time, all month long, there's a T-square that's getting created between Neptune and Jupiter. Jupiter in the fourth house, Neptune in the seventh house. This Jupiter-Neptune dynamic has been going on for almost a year now. Now, Jupiter-Neptune square in general points to the need to create or find or relocate faith, a vision, hope, some sense of what the future holds. Like, I've said this a few times this month, that Jupiter-Neptune is like the Hubble telescope. It pushes us farther out into deeper unknown territory, and it helps us reach our imaginations farther than they've ever gone before. So this is kind of a visionary, uplifting, expansive dynamic between Jupiter in the house of home, family, Neptune in the house of love, marriage, relationships. But even take out those topical meanings and just put the Jupiter-Neptune dynamic into play with all the first house planets, and you're thinking, how am I personally embodying some kind of deeper, expansive vision of myself or my life or the future right now? And the need to take up some greater responsibility, or to this newness, this kind of magical, Jupiter Neptune expansive transits, like, where do we want to take you? All the Virgo energy in the first house could be like, well, I don't know if I'm good enough, or I don't know if I can do it, or I don't know. So be careful that you're not that you're not being self-destructive or self-sabotaging at a moment when some kind of very exciting or inspiring vision of your own future is unfolding before you. Don't be the last one to get on board. You know what I mean? So at the same time, you might be asking questions about how to practically implement or how to strategize in order to put some kind of new vision into place. For example, you imagine a man or woman getting the news that there's, you're pregnant, or your partner's pregnant or something like that. Immediately you're like, I'm not good enough. I'm not ready. What am I going to do? Oh my God, it's exciting. Oh my God, it's exciting. Oh, but holy crap, it's totally terrifying, right? That's the kind of feeling around this month, even if the pregnancy is not a literal one, but has something to do with something new that's being conceived in your life, in your home, in relationships. And it's just like, okay, now how do I handle this? What do I do with it? How do I personally relate to it? Or how do I take hold of it somehow? All the Virgo energy in your first house. But don't worry, the Cazimi at the very beginning of the month between the Sun and Mars should be pretty uplifting, in the sense that it will give you a boost of energy and kind of can-do productivity. A lot of Earth energy in your chart this month as well. So watch for practical, formal benefit and support to be there for you. So Venus opposite Neptune between the 3rd and the 5th. I want to highlight this one. You can see this between the 3rd and the 5th, Venus opposes Neptune across the 1st and 7th house axis. Watch for, it's kind of a romantic, otherworldly, dreamy energy that's coming through, really emphasizing the difference between self and others, independence and dependence, kind of 1st house, 7th house dynamics. Can also, be about boundaries in relationships. You want to be careful of getting kind of lost in the sort of exotic, trancy Venus-Neptune state, which can cause some bad decisions. Like, it's not a great time. I've said this before. It's not a great time to go out on a first date and do a lot of drinking. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be thinking clearly about whether or not this is a person you want to see again. So Venus Neptune, little fuzzy, little otherworldly, should be, it's a romantic, potentially very, again, maybe a very artful, beautiful transit, but you do have to be a little bit careful of it. Don't want to get swept out to sea with Neptune, because there's the perfect time to meet someone who's like lovely and like a total disaster. You know what I mean? So be careful of that if you're single and dating. All right. So let's go on to between the 8th and the 12th. I really like this transit because you've got tons of planets in Virgo with Mars and the Sun moving through squares to Jupiter in the 4th house. Very invigorating, maybe receiving a lot of support from parents or home or family. You can feel really confident at this time, like you're moving from a place of support, knowledge, empowerment. It's very productive, again, very earthy and practical. Could also involve some degree of confrontation between yourself and like a parent or a father or something at home, or it could also exaggerate your sense of ego, strength, power, or pride, so be careful of that. All right, you go forward a little bit more, and you get to the full moon in Pisces with Neptune on September 14th, really emphasizing your relationships at that time and whatever you are joined to emotionally at a very deep level. It's going to be very important. Could be a little complicated by the fact that Mars and Sun are in Virgo in the 1st house, the push-pull between wanting to absorb yourself in something or someone and feeling like you need to stand apart or stand on your own. Working with others versus going it alone. These kinds of dichotomies be really strong around the full moon of September 14th. Now, when we go forward between the 13th and the 15th, a little bit more Venus and Mercury moving into your 2nd house together. I like this in terms of like, you could be purchasing something that you need or like, or something that's really beautiful or nice around this time. You could also be striking up some kind of deal financially, some good news financially, some opportunity for money financially. Also, just contracts, agreements, negotiations, kind of finding agreement between yourself and others. Communication in relationships should be quite harmonious, and fixing problems, troubleshooting things. You want to be careful that around this one you don't get a little superficial or vain and end up wasting your resources. That could be a possibility for that one. That's between the 13th and the 15th. Okay, then towards the end of the month, everything takes this really big turn right as we hit the fall equinox. It's right at that time that we're going to see the Sun move into Libra in your 2nd house. And then we're going to see Venus and Mercury going through squares to Saturn and Pluto in your 5th house. And then on the 28th, the new moon will fall in Libra. Let me show you that new moon. So there is the new moon on the 28th, hopping from Virgo right into Libra. So 2nd house dynamics around money, finances, resources, business, bills, income and expenditures type of things. They're going to be in the spotlight for like 30 days. The new moon cycle starts in Libra, so another lunar cycle to come. A lot of emphasis there. But what you're also seeing is square to Saturn and Pluto and South Node in Capricorn in the 5th house. That's really interesting because you've got this kind of karmic, it's just so heavy. South Node, Saturn, the unavoidable stuff you have to deal with, austerity, hard work, slogging through something. Pluto, death, rebirth, and it's a more hard, difficult, Saturnine kind of death and rebirth. And then all of this kind of Libran karmic balancing, justice, fairness, etc. So I'm calling this a moment of karmic reckoning where, you know, the Libra Capricorn energy at the end of the month is going to be about something that needs to be balanced, something that's been maybe unfair or unjust that needs to be leveled out somehow. You could also be careful of, you know, basically being seduced by power, responsibility, or authority, or the desire to sort of level up socially. Excuse me. The desire to like level up socially, some kind of like social opportunism. And that's kind of Libra Capricorn. You think of Libra Capricorn, you think of like, you know, social ladder climbing. So you want to be mindful of that energy towards the end of the month. And also, you know, people that can take advantage of you. Also, you want to think about, again, just the karmic, Saturn, necessity, Saturn, death, rebirth, Pluto, South Node, letting go of things. And then you have all of this kind of fairness, beauty, balance, justice. So you think of a square between all that energy, toning not only at the end of this month with Venus and Mercury squaring Saturn and Pluto, but also the new moon and the sun will be passing through this going into September or October as well. So you are thinking, you should be thinking about this moment of deeper, more difficult work and balancing at the end of the month, probably really related to finances and money and harder realities about those things, as well as, you know, the fifth house has a lot to do with joy and pleasure. So what is a healthy versus unhealthy investment of your time, energy, and resources for the sake of your joy and happiness? And then probably social issues. Again, the big seduction of this transit is I need to be around people who are really powerful and or people that want to use you in some ways. Be careful about that. All right, so that's what I'm seeing for the month of September. I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you like this video, give it the thumbs up or subscribe. That helps more people find my channel. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a great month of September, and we'll see you again in October. Take care. Bye.